industries or Vinirman Udyog. The story starts with a family. Here we have Harish, he is the kid, and they are doing the Diwali shopping. So when he sees all the products, his father explained that the shoes, clothes, sugar that they are buying, they are made either in large industries using big machines, or utensils manufactured in small industries, or diyas made by hand artisans in household industry. So what is the manufacturing? What is the industry? Whenever there is a raw material. Now raw material is not useful to us. If I provide you bauxite, you'll not be able to appreciate it that much. But when some processing is done on this raw material and it is made as valuable product, this is called manufacturing. Let me tell you again, the production of goods in large quantities after processing from raw materials to more valuable products, this is called manufacturing. Like paper, we make it from where? Wood. Sugar from sugar cane. Iron and steel from iron ore, and aluminium from bauxite. So all these things, clothes also. Various people are employed in these secondary activities. Secondary. Now what is the primary activity which is related to, in our country it is related to the agriculture. But along with this, various secondary activities, manufacturing is the main, that is the primary material into finished goods. People are employed in these secondary activities. Like the steel factories, people are employed in steel factories, car, breweries, textile industries, bakeries. They fall into this secondary category, right? So one more important thing is that the economic strength of any country is measured by what? That the country is economically strong, it is economically good, it is economically developing. That means these all things comes when we see the development of manufacturing industries. If the manufacturing industries are good, the health of manufacturing industries are good, then we say that this country has a good economic strength. So now it comes, what is the importance of manufacturing? Why do we require, why we are discussing about manufacturing? So manufacturing helps in modernizing the agriculture. The agriculture, what we are doing is a farm, you can say it is the backbone of our economy, agriculture, and manufacturing changes it. It is changing it because most of the dependency on the agriculture which our people have, now we have manufacturing, and because agriculture is being modernized, so these all modernization is helping the other people also to have a different job, or secondary or tertiary sector they get a job. Then it provides employment opportunities to different people. There are different disparities, different areas, regimes where the people can find job, and thereby they are getting employment. So they are not unemployed. Manufacturing is eradicating unemployment and poverty from our country. This is how, because the people are getting job. So the unemployment and poverty from our country is, if you have good industry, manufacturing industries, then this can be avoided or eradicated. Second thing comes, or third thing comes, this is the third one, increase in the country's income by exporting manufactured goods. If you are making good stuff, quality stuff, and if you are sending it to some country, say any country, then this country, maybe it may be a developed country, it will give you in dollars, in say in pound, so you get a very good bargain. You are bringing by manufacturing, you are bringing the foreign exchange into the country. This is how manufacturing becomes so important. It improves the country's infrastructure. This also is done by manufacturing. And the countries, that are transforming the raw materials into the finished goods, it is always seen that they are prosperous. They are prosperous. So it improves the level of the country, money of the country, foreign exchange, and the country infrastructure. One thing is very important, that when we talk about agriculture, because this is our all, what we do, 60% of Indian people are involved directly or indirectly into agriculture. So if I talk about agriculture and if I talk about industry or manufacturing industry, they are not exclusive, because what are all the modernization of agriculture is going on, the product is coming from industry. So the industry is giving good products to agriculture, and this industry is getting the raw material for its production, like crops, different things from the agriculture. For example, industry is giving agriculture the fertilizers, irrigation pump, insecticide, pesticide, plastic and PVC pipes, the machines, tools, etc. Industry is providing the agriculture, and in return, the agro-based industry, they are getting the raw material from agriculture. So they are not exclusive. They are purak. They are dependent on each other, and they help, both of them help each other. So growth rate of the share of manufacturing sector in India GDP is, this is our gross domestic product. So GDP, that is, GDP decides what is the country's growth. Okay, so whatever GDP is doing, gross domestic product, this has many things which are affecting it, GDP. So manufacturing is about 17%, but this number can change. You have to Google it, because by the time I am telling you, it might have changed. So this is the GDP. You should have just idea. This is 17%. And the growth rate of manufacturing sector is around 11% per annum. And this also keeps on changing, but it remains somewhere like this number. What is the contribution of industry to national economy? We just saw that over the last 2 decades, 17% it gives, that is manufacturing sector is giving to the GDP growth. And out of this, 27% for the industry, which includes 10% coming from mining, quarrying, electricity and gas. And this is quite lower than other prominent East Asian economies, which is around their East Asian economies, it's around 25 to 35%. But we have seen that it is around, growth is 7%, but we need at least 12%. This has to be 12% for us to have a good growth. Now, industrial location. Whenever we are discussing about an industry, we need to have certain factors in our mind, that where the factory is going to be, what factory is going to be, how it is being, it has to be executed or planned, or it has to be established. So there are certain factors. We call them as industrial location. Whenever we talk about a location, then the location of an industry, it depends on certain factors, that where we have to put this industry. The first one is the availability of raw material. Because if the raw material is at east and you are putting the location of the industry in the west, there is no point. The availability of raw material should be very near to where we are, or the transportation should be good. Even if it is farther, then there has to be direct transport of getting the raw material from there. Then availability of cheap labor. If you see the Western countries, the labor laws are quite strict. So in Canada, you have to pay $14 at least for 1 hour to anyone who is working, devoid of what he is working. In US also, $8 to $10 you have to pay. Now this labor is quite cheap in India, but if the skilled labor or non-skilled labor are not near this industry, then who is going to work for the industry? So we need the availability of cheap labor. We want labor, and it has to be cheap also. If you are paying this much amount, maybe you'll not be benefited from the industries. Then availability of power and other infrastructure. Any industry which you talk about require power, require energy, require urja. For that, you need to have a proper infrastructure. You will not be able to work, or the company is not, or the industry is not going to produce if the power or current went on coming, going, sometime it comes, sometime it doesn't. Then the proximity to markets. Whatever raw materials or other supporting materials you want, you need to get it from the market. And whatever you are producing, you have to transport it to the market. So for that, you need to have proximity to markets and availability of adequate and swift means of transportation. Whatever you are producing, whatever you are getting, or the labor is coming, and there are so many things which are going on. So they need transport. And the land which we want here, which we are making, it should be easily available or cheaply available. There has to be a capital, that is, the capital has to be put. There has to be someone to invest in your industry, or you are investing in the industry. So all these factors, let me just go through it again. That we need raw material, we need power, land, transport, labor, capital, and market for the industry to call us, or the industrial location to be a good location. So coming to this one, let me again tell you that the ideal location of an industry will always be the cost of obtaining the raw materials at site should be as minimum as possible. The cost of distribution of production should be as good as possible. The decision to locate factory at a site, that is, what is the site, the land, the location is very important. And the cost of production at site is very important. These are the ideal location of an industry, and these are the factors which affect it. Coming to industry market linkage, what happens? The money is the key factor. It is being used, it is being invested, and in the industry. So the inputs are raw materials and common component parts, and the factors of production we need, which we already talked about here, is land. We need a land, labor, cheap labor, good labor, skilled labor, capital, and entrepreneur, and infrastructure. When all these things are there, the money is invested. Then the transport to the factory, because the raw material or the people have to be transported, or they will transport themselves to the factory. In the factory now, the raw material is converted into actual value added product. Like a mango would come, a fruity will be produced. A mango will come, a juice will be produced. That is the value addition we are doing from the raw material. Once this output product is there, then it is being transported. It has to be swift, fast, and efficient, reliable transport. It goes to the market, and from market it is sold, and then we get the money again. So this is how the chakra, or you can say a cycle of industry market linkage goes. In the pre-independence period, most of the industries were set up in Mumbai, Kolkata, Chennai. The reason was that they were near to the ports, and most of them have now, we know all these are now the Mahanagars, or they are quite developed, because the industrial development was the main key factor there. Now, when we are talking about industries, it becomes important for us to classify it, because it depends on from where the raw material is coming, what is the role of the industry, what is the capital, and who has the ownership. So all in these basis we can classify the industries. So let me take you to this one. So classification of industries, if the basis is from where the raw material is coming. So the raw material may come from agro or agriculture, or it may come from mineral based. When we talk about agro based, that is, the raw material is coming from agriculture. It is the industries will be cotton, wool, jute, silk, rubber, sugar, tea, coffee. All these are coming from agriculture. They are the produce. They are coming from agriculture industries. And when we talk about mineral based, that is, they are coming from mineral. They are actually minerals. So iron, steel, cement, aluminium, petrochemical industries, they want the raw material as minerals. So these are based on the raw material. So these are source of raw material. And when we say role, that is, what kind of industry it is. Is it a basic industry, or it is a consumer industry? Now, basic industry means this industry is feeding to other industry. Let me tell you again that we have an industry here. and we have an industry here. Now this industry is producing and it is giving the product to the other industry. So we call this as a basic industry. And when this scientists say this is second industry. Now this industry is producing for us, for the consumer. So this industry will be consumer industry. This will be basic industry. This will be consumer industry. So what we get here, the basic industries are iron and steel, copper smelting, aluminium smelting. So if you are doing smelting, the copper will be sent to where? The user will not take copper directly, like you and me. Will not take aluminium directly. We have to get some sheets. We have to get in some form so that we can use it. So now basic industry, they are producing for the other industry. And those industries which are actually producing for us, we eat sugar, we want cosmetics, we use paper, we use some machines. So these are the industries, consumer industries who are making it for us. Now coming to the capital, what amount is invested? What money is being invested? So we have two kind of vargikaran, or you can say classification here. First is the small scale industry, and then we have large scale industry. Now this money would have changed, but as per the text, the small scale industry, if the investment is up to say 1 crore, then this industry will be called as small scale. If the investment, the money being invested is more than 1 crore, then we call it as a large scale industry. For example, small scale industry, matchmaking, the handicrafts, toy, plastics, containers and other goods. When we talk about large scales, then the cosmetic, drugs, electronic items, they are generally involve more than 1 crore of investment. Now who owns it? You, me, the group of a people, or the government? Who owns the industry? So public sector industries are those industries which are owned by the government. That is, for example, BHEL, Bharat Heavy Electronic Limited, SAIL, Steel Authority of India Limited, National Thermal Power Corporation. So all these are being owned by, governed by, organized by public sector, that is public, we are public, and who is the representative of public? It's government, central government and the state government. Then we have private sector. Private sector means a single person or a group of people like the industrialists. They are holding the key or the administration, or you can say they are whole soul of these companies like Tisco, Bajaj, BPL. There are so many examples. Then we have joint sector. When this public and private, they combine themselves, means they get together and they are having stakes on an industry, then we call it as joint sector. So like Indian Oil we have. Cooperative. Now here what happens, that I am a person, I am dealing with milk, you are also a person dealing with milk, you are producing raw material, I am selling it, all these people, they get together and they make a cooperative. So whatever profit I am getting, whatever loss I am getting or we are getting, it will be distributed equally. The loss also will be distributed equally. So this kind of ownership is called cooperative. It's called cooperative industry. For example, sugar industry in Maharashtra, the coir industry in Kerala, Amul is also the milk one, it is related to milk, is also a cooperative. So we talked about classification of industry on the basis of raw material. We have agro-based and mineral-based. Agro, we have cotton, wool, jute, silk, textile, rubber, sugar, tea, coffee, edible oil. In mineral, we talked about iron and steel, cement, aluminium, machine tools and petrochemicals. When it comes to what is the role, the basic or the key industry which is supplying the product to the other industry like the iron, steel, copper smelting, aluminium smelting. The consumer industry which is providing or giving it to us directly, that is sugar, toothpaste, paper, sewing machine and fans. What amount is being invested? More than 1 crore. It's a small scale, and it's a less than 1 crore is small scale, and greater than 1 crore it's a large scale. On the basis of the ownership, we have public sector owned and operated by the government agency, BHEL, SAIL, and private sector like Tisco, Bajaj, Dabur. Joint sector, they are jointly run by both the state and the individual, that is the government and the private people, like Oil India Limited. Then it's not Indian Oil, it's Oil India Limited. Cooperative sectors, they are producers and suppliers working on the same thing. They get together and the profit and losses they share equally. So this is the classification. So we will start with the agro-based industries. Now, as we just saw that the agro-based industry means the raw material is coming from the agriculture. It's coming from the agriculture. So let me just take you again back. So agriculture means we just talked about cotton, jute, silk, woolen textiles, sugar, edible oil. These are all based on agriculture industry. So coming from the agriculture basically. So first thing is the textile industry. In this, the textile industry becomes very important. Why? We know that most of the people in our country they are involved in agriculture. This is the first one. So the second number of employer of the country is textile industry. That is why it is so important. It's textile industry. It is the second largest employer after agriculture. And this contributes to around 4%. Textile industry, it contributes around 4% of the GDP, gross domestic product. Then only industry which is self-reliant means it is producing itself, it is consuming itself, that is, it is not dependent on any other industry. That is the important thing. So the first successful, we'll talk about this. Let me just take you to the cotton textiles now, because this is what is a textile industry. There are certain factors which we need to understand. The textile industry, as we said, it is around 14% significantly, because what I'm trying to suggest here is this book is 2003, then it was revised in 2011 like this. So we have, and 2008 data is also there. So you'll find different datas in this book. So I just want or request you to Google the latest one. So these numbers may change, and we have a very great amount of this 4% GDP is provided by the textile industry, and we get 24.6 foreign exchange. Very important. Whatever foreign exchange we are getting, around 25% comes from the textile industry, and it is the largest employer after the agriculture. And as I said, it is self-reliant. That means it has a complete chain by itself. That is, raw materials to the highest value added products it produces, and it hasn't have to depend on any other. So I'll just show you the flow here. See, the fiber production is done. So when the raw fiber is there, the raw fiber is used for the fiber production. Then the yarn, after spinning we have yarn, then we have weaving and knitting, then we make the fabric. This is what we get. And then dyeing, finishing of this weaving, knitting, or the fabric, you can say like this. Let me tell you. Fiber production, raw fiber, it is spinned. Yarn will be weaved and knitted. It is fabric, it is dyed and finished. Then we get the garments. This is the final thing. So now coming to the cotton textiles. Cotton, kapas. Cotton is kapas. So this is produced with, it may be hand spinning, or an individual may be working on it or spinning. He may be or she may be using the electricity, so it is called power looms. So these hand spinning are only called looms, while the looms which are using electricity for their working, they are called power looms. They are hand looms. As I said, these are hand looms. And mills also, big mills. And they are concentrated in Maharashtra and Gujarat, and this maximum production by power looms is done. So power looms are used heavily. We were thinking about, or you might be thinking about, it might be, the cotton textile may be produced more in the mills rather than the power looms, but we have 54.17% of share of production through power looms. So the first successful textile mill was established in Mumbai in 1854. First textile mill in 1854, where? In Mumbai. So as per the text, there are nearly 1600 cotton human-made fiber textiles in our country, and about 80% of these are by private sector. And most of the textile mills, as I just said, that there is a belt, cotton belt, where cotton is grown, black mitti, black soil where we have Maharashtra and Gujarat. And the most important thing is that raw cotton market, transport, all these port facilities, they have port also, bandargah, port facilities, labor, the climate is also moist. All these are very important factors for why these cotton textiles are mostly concentrated in Maharashtra and Gujarat. Maharashtra and Gujarat. And this industry is not only for fabric. The other people, there are so many people which are involved, and like the packagers, like the dyers, like the chemical supporting people, mill stores, engineering works, they also get job from this particular industry. Okay. Now coming to the one more aspect is hand spun. This hand spun khadi is very, it was made famous by Mahatma Gandhi. It was already there, but this hand spun khadi, it also provides a large scale employment to weavers, mainly the people who are working in their home, in their cottage industry, So India has the second largest installed capacity of spindles after China. So what is this spindle? Spindle is like this, and the dhaga, like the thread is like this. When the thread is being made, they are kept in the spindle. So this is what we are talking about. But before that, let me tell you one more thing, that India export yarn. This yarn means it is not, it is already been made into the threads, and these thread, combined thread, or you can say a collection of thread, is called as a yarn. So this yarn is what we are exporting it to Japan, and we are also exporting it to USA, UK, Russia, France, East European countries, Nepal, Singapore, Sri Lanka, and various other African countries. So India accounts for 1/4 of the total world trade in cotton yarn. So one thing is very important coming here. Cotton yarn, we are always talking about the yarn, that is the dhaga, that is the thread. So we have 1/4, we are 1/4, that is 25% of whole world, complete world, the world trade of yarn, cotton yarn, is by us, 25%. Let me just take you here, because there are certain things we just need to discuss. So what happens, that the yarn we are very good in, but we are not very good in the textile. In fact, India has the largest installed capacity of spindle after China. So why we are very good in yarn and why we are not very good in textiles? Because if you talk about a very small country which is just next to us, it is Bangladesh. And Bangladesh is quite ahead of us when it comes to textile. But we are good at yarn. Why? Because the problem is that the textile or the facilitation of textile in our country is not that good. That is, the yarn can be produced if we have very good infrastructure and people are involved in this, but we are not very good in textiles. Okay. So as I gave the example of Bangladesh, it is way ahead of us in terms of textiles. In fact, it is number 1, I guess. I'll give you one more example. The yarn or dhaga or the thread, it is sold 85 rupees, or it might have changed. I'm just giving you an example. Just say it is being sold at 85 per kg. But when it comes to a textile or a fabric or a pant or a shirt, then this is sold at 800 rupees per kg. You can see the difference, that where we are lagging. Because of the textile, we are not producing, we are only going for the yarn. Okay. So I have to just take you to this places where we have cotton textile, woolen textile, and silk textiles. So where they are concentrated, let us see. Okay. So here we have the cotton textiles. You see, these are the cotton textiles. These round, or you can say the spheres or dark circles. These are the places where we have cotton textiles. As I said, Maharashtra and Gujarat have most of them, but we have other places also. Then we have woolen textile. So woolen will be always on these places. Why? because wool is normally taken out from sheep, etc. These are they always live or stay in a cold environment. So this is the place where the cold environment is there. So woolen textile mills are mostly concentrated here, but it is still here. Some places you will find other region also. Then the silk textile, silk comes from the silkworm. It's a cocoon, and mulberry trees it grows. So silk comes from various places, and mostly these are the places. Kerala and South India, we have these places. Then we have here also in Bengal some places, and if you go up, we are very fond of the shawls and the daris of Jammu Kashmir. So Baramulla, Srinagar, Anantnag, they are also providing very good silk textile. Coming to jute textiles, these are jute, that means patsan we call in Hindi, jute textiles. So India is the largest producer of raw jute. Please understand, India is the largest producer of what? Jute, raw jute. And second largest exporter after Bangladesh. Second largest exporter after Bangladesh. Let me take you to jute textiles. So as we suggested that there are 70 jute mills in India, because the number might have changed, but this gives you an idea. But these are mainly along these banks of Hooghly River. So there is a Hooghly River here, and there is a very narrow belt. The narrow belt is just 3 kilometers. The width is 3 kilometers, and the length is just from here to here. It is 98 kilometers. This place. Now, why this? Only this place is responsible for providing most of the jute. First of all, it is very near to the jute producing areas, and there is transport that is inexpensive, somewhat water transport, and there is a good railway network supported by, and waterways. The raw mills can move to the mills, and water, because this needs a lot of water. So abundance of water is there, and mostly because it is near Bihar, etc., means the UP areas, these areas. So you get very good labor here. That is cheap labor from Bihar, Odisha, and Uttar Pradesh and Kolkata itself. So that is how this jute textiles and production is more here. The first jute mill, it was set up near Kolkata in 1859. Jute first mill 1859 in Rishra. Okay, but what happened after the partition, because Bangladesh went away, the Pakistan also was in the partition. So the thing was that 3/4 of the jute producing area went to Bangladesh. That is why we are the second largest exporter after Bangladesh, because most of the jute went to Bangladesh, right? And this jute industry, it supports 2.61 lakh workers directly, and 40 lakhs who are directly or indirectly, you can say, small and marginal farmers. They are also involved in production of jute and mesta. This is also one of the kind of jute. But as we said, we have some problems also here, that the synthetic fibers or synthetic substitutes are coming, and Bangladesh, of course, is our greatest competitor, with Brazil, Philippines, Egypt also, Thailand. They are also producing and exporting a good deal of jute, right? Then we had a policy in 2005. The 2005 policy, government made a policy that is called the National Jute Policy, and this was the main objective, or the idea was to increase the production of jute, also improve the quality, and then the farmers should get the good prices, and they must enhance the production per hectare. So what are the main markets for this jute we have? We have USA, we have Canada and Russia, United States, United States of America we already talked about, UAR, that is United Arab Republic, all the Arabian countries, you can say, most of them, and UK and Australia. Okay. Now coming to the sugar industry, India is again the second largest producer. We are always first, second or third, we are always in this league. So we are second largest producer of sugar, which is the first one? It's Brazil. It's Brazil. But when we talk about gur and khansari, these are also a kind of production like sugar, which comes from sugarcane. So it's a different kind of sugar, you can say, but it is mostly used in the rural part of India. So India is the largest producer of gur and khansari. This you have to remember. We are the largest producer of gur and khansari. And sugar mills are mostly located in UP, Bihar, Maharashtra, Karnataka, Tamil Nadu, Andhra Pradesh and Gujarat. So mostly we will find it in UP, and because the ganna or the sugarcane which the southern India has, they have more sucrose, they are more sweet. That is why this industry is going to the south also. It is blooming in the south also. So most mills, they are in the cooperative sector. This is a very important, you can say it, idea about mills of sugar. They are mostly cooperative sectors. So in all, we have around, you can just take a number. It may change. So there we have around 460 sugar mills. And as I said, mostly in Uttar Pradesh, because the sucrose content in the down, that is the down south, it's good. That is why it is also going up. And as I suggested, around 60% is in Uttar Pradesh and Bihar. Most of the sugar mills are in Uttar Pradesh and Bihar only, and they are cooperative sector. And again, we have the same challenges for this sugar industries also. First of all, the old and the trivial and the inefficient methods are still used in this. And because this sugarcane industry or sugar industry is very important thing. It is seasonal. It's seasonal. 6 to 8 weeks, 6 to 8 months it takes for the sugarcane to grow. So it's kind of seasonal. So mostly people are not interested. That is why this is those who are working, they are working. But because it is seasonal, so people want a 12-month job. That's how 12 months kind of crop production they want. And the transport delay is also there. And then the baggies. What is the baggies? The baggies is when you take out the, you can say, content from the sugarcane, the remaining thing is called baggies, right? So this is not utilized very efficiently or for any purpose in India. This is the problem. Now we come to the mineral based industry. Now these industry require what? They require the mineral as the input. Okay. So these industry, they use minerals and metals as raw materials. So whatever is coming as a raw material, they are minerals or they are metals. So this is the basic thing about this. Then we have the iron and steel industry, one of the most important industry here. So basic industry, iron and steel industry is a basic industry because this industry provides the raw material to any other industry. So it's kind of basic industry. Then this steel consists of what? It consists of iron ore, coking coal and limestone. That is, we need, if we want to make a steel, we need iron ore, coking coal and limestone in the ratio of 4:2:1. That is 4 out of 7 is iron ore, 2 out of 7 is coking coal and 1 out of 7 proportion is limestone. This is how steel is formed. So India is the 9th largest steel producer. We are 9th here, 9th. And India is the largest producer of one of the kind of iron, which is very kind of, you can say, spongy. It's sponge iron. So we are the largest in sponge iron. And there are 10 primary steel plants in India. There are many because, the plants are coming up and we have major plants and they are doing the production. Like the Bokaro, the Rourkela, the Burnpur, Bhilai, Durgapur, these names are quite famous. And Steel Authority of India Limited, because Steel Authority of India Limited, that means it's a government this enterprise. So this is the nodal marketing agency of steel produced by the public sector undertaking. So public sector means it belongs to the government. And mostly the area, the region of, if you see Bokaro, Rourkela, all these areas are situated or located in the Chota Nagpur Plateau region because they get the raw materials easily from there. So today we have around 32.8 million tons of steel production and we rank 9th. And if you see that large quantity of production of steel, per capita consumption per annum is only 32 kg. This is an alarming situation, but this might have changed. You have to see that what is the present scenario. So how is the steel produced? Now let us have a look on how the steel is produced. First of all, the raw material is received at a plant, that is the transportation has to be done. Then in the blast furnace, the iron ore is melted. Then limestone is fluxing material which is added to the iron ore. Then whatever dirt or slag is there, it is being removed. And now coke is burned to heat the ore. So now heating is being done. So when heating is done, we get molten iron. So pig iron we call it as. The molten matrix, or you can say the molten which we got from the burning of coke, this is put in molds so that it takes shape. That is called as pigs. Then the steel is made. Pig iron is again then purified. So we use some process like melting and oxidation or oxidizing the impurities. And then we add manganese, nickel and chromium. This gives that strength to the steel. And finally, with various machines etc., we give rolling, pressing and casting and forging to give shape to the metal. Now coming to the aluminium. Now aluminium basically comes from bauxite. Bauxite is the ore of aluminium. So aluminium is why we are discussing it. It is quite light, like iron, because iron oxidizes very easily. It is corrosion free. So erosion and corrosion does not take place here so easily. And it is good conductor of heat. It is a very good conductor of heat. Then it is used in, because it is light and all these qualities are there. So it is used in aircrafts, utensils and wire industry also. And we have various smelting plants in India. Nalco and Balco, these are in Odisha, Nalco and Balco for example. So coming to the chemical industry, this chemical industry means all the chemicals which we produce, it contributes to 3% of the GDP. Then we are third largest in India as far as chemical industries are concerned. And this chemical can be divided into the inorganic chemicals and organic chemicals. Inorganic and organic, that is, you can say carbonic and acarbonic. So content of carbon is there, that is we call as petrochemicals, dyes and drugs. These are organic chemicals. And then we have inorganic chemicals like the sulfuric acid, plastics, adhesives and paints. So these are the areas of iron and steel plant. If you see from here, we have Burnpur, Durgapur, Bokaro, Jamshedpur, Rourkela, then Bhilai, Vijayanagar, Bhadravati and Salem. These are the main key areas. There are many, but these are the main key areas. So we were talking about this earlier, the Steel Authority of India. This is a government undertaking. We have TISCO also, TISCO. TISCO is Tata Iron and Steel Company. So this is not a government enterprise. This is the private enterprise, and it started way back when we were, under the British regime. I'll give you an idea what happened to this quantity of steel. In 1950s, China and India, they were producing same. Means we were at par with China. And now China is the largest consumer of steel, and it is the largest producer also. Please understand, China is the largest producer, it is largest consumer also. And it just went up to, in 2004, India was the largest exporter of steel. In 2004. And China just overpowered us. And Chota Nagpur Plateau region, as I said, it is the maximum, the industries are there only. And the idea is that in this place, Chota Nagpur Plateau, we get the iron with low cost, high grade of raw material is easily available, the cheap labor, and also the vast growth potential in the home market. This is how we get the most of the located industries are there. Now coming to, I have to discuss one more thing here before I just go to this fertilizer industry. Now coming to aluminium smelting, as we were talking about, Aluminum smelting is the second. Aluminum smelting means getting out of aluminium, or finding the aluminium from the bauxite ore. So this aluminum smelting is the second most important metallurgical industry in India. Why aluminium is so important? Because it is light, it is resistant to corrosion, and it is a good conductor of heat, malleable and ductile. That means it can be formed in sheets and wire can be made out of it, and other material can be added. That is why it is widely used in manufacturing of aircraft, utensils and wires. And this is why, because of these properties, it is a good substitute of copper, zinc, lead in a number of industries. So there are 8 aluminium smelting plants in the country located in Odisha. Odisha we have Nalco and Balco. Then we have West Bengal, and then Kerala and Uttar Pradesh and Chhattisgarh. Then we have Maharashtra and Tamil Nadu. So if we talk about the numbers, in 2004 India produced over 600 million tons of aluminium, and bauxite is the raw material from which this smelting is done, right? And this is a flow chart. Let us see that how this is being manufactured. And we have certain problems also, like the regular supply of electricity. If it is assured and the raw material cost is minimum, then we can, again, this aluminum smelting is a very prosperous and very good, you can say, industry in India. So first of all, we need to understand the ratio between the ores and aluminium, that is 4 to 6 tons of bauxite, 2 tons of alumina, and then we get 1 ton of aluminium. So from here we get 1 ton of aluminium. So the process of manufacturing of aluminium industry, in this the raw material is the bauxite. So we get bauxite quarry, and this is transported by rail or ship to actual location. And here alumina, that is in aluminium refinery, the bauxite is crushed with alumina dissolved out. This alumina is dissolved out. Then the aluminium smelter we get, in this smelting we put the cryolite, which act as an electrolyte where two electrodes are being placed, and one of the electrode will take the aluminium. So this is how we smelt. This is called the smelting of aluminium. Now we talked about the chemical industry also. So as I said that this constitutes 3% of the GDP, and we can divide this chemical industry product into inorganic and organic. This inorganic chemicals include the sulfuric acid. Mostly we use this to manufacture the fertilizers, synthetic fibers, plastic adhesive, paints and dye stuffs. Nitric acid, the alkalis, soda ash. This is used, soda ash is used to make the glass, the soaps and detergents, right? See, organic chemicals, we have petrochemicals, and which are widely used for making of synthetic fibers, synthetic rubber, plastics, dyestuffs, drugs and pharmaceuticals. Coming to the fertilizer industry, this industry manufactures nitrogenous, which contains nitrogen, this nitrogen fertilizers, urea, phosphoric, the fertilizers, ammonium phosphate, we call it as DAP, and then we have certain complex fertilizers. So India is the 3rd largest producer of these nitrogenous fertilizers. We are 3rd in this, and these industries are located in Gujarat, UP, Tamil Nadu, Punjab and Kerala. So this fertilizers industry we were talking about, as we just said that the production of nitrogen fertilizers, which is mainly urea, then phosphatic fertilizers, ammonium phosphate, complex fertilizers. And this complex fertilizers is essentially the combination of nitrogen, phosphate and potash. So NPK, nitrogen, potash and the phosphate and potash, this is called the complex fertilizers. The third one, which is the potash, we don't have the reserves, that much reserves of this potash, so we generally import it. And we are the 3rd largest producer of nitrogenous fertilizers. There are 57 fertilizers unit which are producing this nitrogenous and complex, that is NPK nitrogenous fertilizers, 29 for urea, 9 for ammonium phosphate as a byproduct. So in some industry, the ammonium phosphate is not the main product which we want, it is a byproduct. So this is also being used, and we have 68 other very small units to produce single superphosphate. So we have 10 public sector undertakings, that is the government sector, and one cooperative sector at Hazira in Gujarat under the FCI, that is Fertilizer Corporation of India, Fertilization Corporation of India. So these are the places where this took place, or this is taking place, fertilizer industry. Then coming to the cement industry. So cement is manufactured from limestone, silica, aluminium and gypsum. So again, cement is using a lot of heavy things like limestone, silica, aluminium and gypsum. And mostly the cement industry is located in Gujarat, and the first cement plant was in Chennai. It was established in Chennai in 1904, and this cement is widely exported to Gulf countries, Africa and South Asia. So what we were talking about is this cement is very important as far as we build houses, factories, bridges, etc., roads, airports, dams, all the commercial establishment, we use this cement industry. So it required certain bulky, heavy raw materials, as I just suggested. We have limestone, silica, aluminium and gypsum. And also coal and electric power is employed. And these industries are mostly strategically located in Gujarat, because for the Gulf countries, it is a suitable way, you can say transport and also access. First cement plant was in Chennai in 1904. Okay. So we have certain plants, as we said, there are 128 large plants, and then we have 332 mini plants in the country, and then we are the exporter to East Asia, Middle East, Africa, South Asia. These are the places where we are exporting. Then coming to the automobile industry, this automobile industry, all of the vehicles which we know today, we are the developers. We make it. Because what happened after the liberalization, there was a policy in 1991, and this liberalization allowed the companies, different companies, the giant in the automobile industry to enter the Indian market. So there was a FDI, for the foreign direct investment, it happened. So all the cars, etc., and the parts, they are being made in India now. This FDI, as I said, FDI, this brought new technology also and new ways also. That is how we got the global developments. And there are 15 manufacturers of passenger cars, multi-utility vehicles, and for commercial vehicles, 9 are there. 14 for 2 and 3 wheelers. And we are the place where we find these automobile industries. And these places are, or these industries are located mainly in Delhi, Gurgaon, Mumbai, Pune, Chennai, Kolkata, Lucknow, Indore, Hyderabad, Jamshedpur and Bangalore. Then the information industry and electronic industry. Now this is very important. The electronic industry, if you talk about a transistor or you go up to a television or the telephone you have in your hand, the telephone exchange, the radars, computers, and all the equipments which involve electronics or the telecommunication industry, we are making it. Means Bangalore is the hub, or you can call the Bangalore is the hub of electronic it is called as an electronic capital also, and software capital also. Okay, there are other places also where electronic goods are being produced, which are Mumbai, Delhi, Hyderabad, Pune, Chennai, Kolkata, Lucknow and Coimbatore. So we have number of software STPI, software technology parks, when we talk about the information technology. And the major impact of this industry is employment generation, and the IT industry employed in this 2005 year running in 2019. So there are so many people who are employed here, and 30% of them are women, and this is a very good thing. 30% are women, and this industry, the IT industry, is the major foreign getting industry. And then we have BPOs also. So this is the IT industry, which is the most important industry right now we have. This is the example of just a picture of cable manufacturing facilities at HCL, West Bengal, Group Narayanpur, and this is the gas turbine rotor and assembly bed at BHEL. Now with all this industry comes the pollution. So industrial pollution and environmental degradation is the major concern when we talk about any kind of industry. So industries causes 4 types of pollution: the land pollution, the air pollution, the water pollution, the noise pollution. And how to control this, we'll just talk about this. First of all, let us see that these land pollutions, because land get polluted and the soil quality is degrading. When the lot of industrial waste, all the toxic waste, they are dumped just ruthlessly, rendering the soil becoming unfertile. And what happens to air? Because we can live without water, we can live without food for many days, but we cannot live without air. So the emission of toxic gas like the carbon monoxide, sulfur dioxide, these are very harmful because this is coming from industries, from vehicle, and this cause irreparable damage to the body. And think about the newborns. The smoke which is emitted by these industries and factories, they contain very small dust particles, and that is how the pulmonary problems and diseases, asthma, etc., the human beings are facing right now. Coming to water, the again untreated industrial waste and chemical effluents or chemical toxic materials, they are just discharged in water, and the aquatic life is suffering from this. But all the flora and fauna which are dependent on this water their life is in jeopardize, and then they are unfit for human use also. One more thing, if you are sleeping and someone starts drilling, you will not be able to sleep. That is the noise pollution. So the blaring horns of the automobiles, noise of machinery in the factories, large scale construction activities creates a lot of noise pollution, and that cause irritation, that cause BP, blood pressure, and deafness also. So now it becomes very important for us to handle and control this environmental degradation. We need to minimize the use of water. We have to do certain things. I'll just tell you what we can do because there is an example also. So before that, let me just show you the STPI. We were talking about software technology parks. So mainly we were talking about Bangalore, Hyderabad, in Noida, Delhi, and then we have Gurgaon, Jaipur, Gandhinagar, Indore, Bhubaneswar, Kolkata, Visakhapatnam, Mumbai, Pune. Pune is also a hub, and Mysore, Chennai, Tiruvananthapuram, then Srinagar also somewhat, and Mohali. Guwahati also we have STPIs. So these pollution, and mostly one more pollution is there, that the hot water, when in say in thermal plant, we have hot water that produces steam and that produces electricity. So this hot water, very hot water is just dumped into the water bodies. And when this hot water comes, the water bodies or the water aquatic life, how it is going to suffer? It's so hot. One bucket of one proportion of bad water, it degrades 8 you can say content of the water. So this is how just you can say the boond or the drop of toxicity can also create a lot of problem. Then we have to control the environmental degradation. This kind of pollution which I was saying was the thermal pollution. Thermal pollution is the water which we, without even handling them or cooling them, we are just sending into the water. So what is the idea or the key way of handling this? First, we have to minimize the use of water. We cannot just throw water and just get it again from somewhere else and just start using it. We need to reuse and recycle the water. The harvesting of rainwater should be done, and the hot water which is going directly into the aquatic life or anywhere has to be stopped. We need to clean, we need to treat it, we need to reuse it, or rather we need to cool it before sending it to anywhere. And same goes with the chemical things which are coming out. We need to treat them. So these are all the ways which we can do to minimize this environmental degradation. Just to mention that NTPC has showed certain things. It has awarded ISO certification for EMS, and EMS stands for Environmental Management System, which comes under 14001. And NTPC has done various things. If you see here, they have done various things like they have utilized optimally the equipment, latest techniques, upgrading the existing equipment. Also, the ash utilization is, you can say, waste generation is minimized. And then the green belts, you see here, the green belts are also being created. And environmental pollution, they have created ash pond management, ash water recycling, and also ecological monitoring, reviews, and online database management is done in the power stations. So NTPC has set an example. This is what we have to do in order to get this thing under control, which is all kind of pollution and degradation which is taking place because of the industries.